In Tikit, dimly lit corners of the forensic archives, there is a saying: the dead do not speak, but they never truly stay silent. Welcome to the Inside Crime. Imagine a room frozen in time for two Dikaiza mysteries so cold that it practically turned to ice. For 20 years, a family waited. A killer walked free. The police were left with nothing but a dusty box of dead ends. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no weapon. But tucked away in the weave of a faded carpet was something so small it was invisible to the naked eye. A single, solitary strand of hair. This is the story of how one microscopic piece of biological evidence traveled through 20 years of scientific advancement to finally scream the name of a killer. This is the anatomy of a cold case brought back to life by the silent witness. The year was 2006. It was a Tuesday evening like any other in a quiet suburban neighborhood, where people still left their front doors unlocked. But for Sarah Miller, that Tuesday would be her last. When her neighbors noticed the morning paper still sitting on the porch the next day, they felt a prickle of unease. When the police finally entered the home, they found a scene that was clean. Disturbingly clean. There was no sign of a struggle, no forced entry, and most importantly, no forensic trail. The killer hadn't just committed a crime. They had performed a vanishing act. Lead investigators spent weeks combing through every inch of the house. They used luminol to find hidden blood traces, dusted every surface for prints, and interviewed every person within a 5-mile radius. The result, nothing. The case didn't just go cold. It vanished into the archives of unsolved tragedies. Sarah's file became just another folder on a shelf, gathering dust as the seasons turned into years, and years into decades. But science has a way of catching up with those who think they've outsmarted justice. To understand how a single hair can solve a murder 20 years later, we have to look at the incredible evolution of DNA technology. In 2006, forensic DNA testing required a significant amount of biological material, usually a large blood stain or a visible root on a hair follicle. If a hair was shed naturally without the root attached, it was often considered forensically dead because it lacked the nuclear DNA needed for a profile. Fast forward 20 years. We are no longer looking for a mountain of evidence. We are looking for molecules. Enter mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, and the revolution of SNP single nucleotide polymorphism sequencing. Unlike nuclear DNA, which is inherited from both parents and found in the shaft of the hair itself, it is much more durable and can survive for decades, even centuries, in harsh conditions. In 2026, a young cold case investigator decided to pull Sarah Miller's box from the basement. He didn't look at the photos or the witness statements first. He looked at the useless evidence. There, in a small plastic bindle, was a single brown hair found near the victim's sleeve. In 2006, the lab had dismissed it. In 2026, it was the key to the kingdom. The hair was sent to a specialized lab where technicians used a process called massively parallel sequencing. They didn't just look at a few markers, they mapped the entire genetic code of that tiny strand. But even with a full DNA profile, you need a name to match it to, and the killer's DNA wasn't in any criminal database. He had never been arrested again. He was a ghost in the system. This is where investigative genetic genealogy comes, and the same technology used to catch the Golden State Killer. The investigators took the DNA profile from that 20-year-old hair and uploaded it to public genealogy databases, where millions of people share their DNA to find their ancestors. The system didn't find the killer, but it found his third cousin. From there, the team began the grueling process of reverse branching. They built a massive family tree, tracking descendants from the late 1800s down to the present day. They narrowed the tree down to one specific branch, then one specific family, and finally, to one man who lived only 3 blocks away from Sarah Miller in 2006. He was now a 50-year-old man, a respectable member of society with a family and a steady job. He thought the ghost of his past had been buried forever. The surveillance team followed him for 3 days. They weren't looking for a confession, they were looking for his trash. On the 3rd day, the suspect finished a coffee at a local park and tossed the disposable cup into a public bin. Within minutes, the cup was in a sterile evidence bag. The lab matched the DNA from the saliva on that cup to the DNA from the hair found on Sarah Miller's sleeve 20 years ago. It was a perfect match. The odds of it being anyone else were 1 in several billion. When the police knocked on his door, he didn't even fight. He simply looked at the floor and asked, "How did you find me after all this time?" He had spent 20 years thinking he was the perfect criminal, only to be taken down by a microscopic part of himself that he didn't even know he'd left behind. The silent witness reminds us that time is not a shield for the guilty. Every time a criminal steps into a room, they participate in what's known as Locard's exchange principle. Every contact leaves a trace. You might clean the blood, you might wipe the prints, and you might wait out the clock. But you cannot escape the biological blueprint of who you are. Forensic science is no longer about what we can see. It's about the secrets hidden in the invisible. Sarah Miller finally got her justice, not through a dramatic confession or a high-speed chase, but through the patient, relentless power of a single strand of hair. Thank you for joining us at the Insight Crime. We go beneath the surface of the world's most complex cases to show you the details that matter. If this deep dive into the power of forensics fascinated you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. The truth is always out there, waiting for the right technology to find it. Stay curious, stay observant, and remember the evidence never truly sleeps. Until next time, this is the Insight Crime.